8th century Tibet, survival was a matter of physical endurance. On this high, wind-swept plateau, the environment fostered an animistic worldview, where the harsh landscape left little room for the complex, institutional spiritual structures found to the south. Hundreds of miles away, the landscape shifted. The lush, river-fed plains of Ancient Bengal provided the agricultural surplus necessary to support massive populations and towering centers of learning. Bengal was entering a golden age of intellectual expansion. Inside its brick monasteries, scholars were refining a new spiritual system, preparing it for a migration that would cross the world's most formidable mountain range. Geography separated these two worlds, but the movement of ideas was about to bind them together. In the late 8th century, King Dharmapala ascended the throne of the Pala dynasty. Under his patronage, Bengal became the final stronghold of classical Indian Buddhism, maintaining the tradition as it receded from the rest of the subcontinent. Dharmapala directed the state's wealth into institutional knowledge, founding massive monastic centers like Somapura and Odantapuri. These were not mere temples, but vast complexes built to house thousands of scholars and students. His most significant achievement was Vikramshila University. It featured a sophisticated architectural layout, with 108 temples surrounding a central cruciform stupa, all connected by 6 massive gates, leading to specialized colleges. Within these walls, a new school of thought took hold, Vajrayana, or Tantric Buddhism. This was a complex system of mystic and esoteric practices that originated specifically within the Bengali cultural sphere. Students focused on attaining supreme power through magical formulas and the worship of specific deities, most notably the goddess Tara, whose influence spread through the unique Pala school of art. Vikramshila functioned as a logistical hub for this faith. Scholars here did not just study, they translated texts and trained monks for the specific mission of carrying these teachings into the Himalayas. To the north, the Tibetan Emperor Trisong Detsen was struggling to stabilize his realm. He faced internal political chaos and a powerful local priesthood that resisted the introduction of foreign ideas. The emperor looked to Bengal for help, inviting the renowned scholar Shantarakshita and the legendary mystic Guru Padmasambhava to bring their expertise to the plateau. Padmasambhava's journey was a physical ordeal, requiring him to navigate frozen mountain passes that were often impassable for most of the year. This caravan carried more than just supplies. It transported physical palm leaf manuscripts containing foundational rituals of Bengali Tantra. The colorful illustrations on these pages functioned as visual maps for meditation, allowing practitioners to replicate the complex visualizations developed in Bengal. This 8th century mission proved the mountain barrier could be overcome, resulting in the construction of Tibet's first Buddhist monastery and a permanent foothold. By the 9th century, the Tibetan Empire collapsed, entering a period of fragmentation. Amidst the political breakdown, Buddhism nearly disappeared from the region. A century later, as Vajrayana reached its peak in India, the Bengali master Atisha was residing at Vikramshila. He was a revered teacher, known throughout the Buddhist world for his mastery of the scriptures. In 1042, at the age of 60, Atisha accepted an invitation to save the tradition in Tibet, beginning another grueling ascent into the mountains. He spent the next 12 years revitalizing the faith, traveling extensively to teach a new generation of Tibetan scholars and ensure institutional rigor. His efforts led to the creation of the Kadam school, which established the scholarly standards that would define Tibetan spiritual life. These teachings eventually evolved into the Geluk tradition, the school of the Dalai Lamas, which continues to preserve the original Bengali curriculum today. Atisha's mission provided the organizational framework for the Tibetan Renaissance, ensuring that Bengal's intellectual legacy would outlast the very institutions that created it. In 1203, the physical world of the Pala kings came to a violent end. Turkic forces under Bakhtiar Khalji swept across Bengal, targeting the great centers of learning. Vikramshila was destroyed, and its massive library, a structure designed specifically to preserve priceless manuscripts, was burned to the ground. With the universities gone, classical Buddhism effectively vanished from the Indian subcontinent. However, the knowledge itself was safe, because thousands of manuscript copies had already been carried to high-altitude monasteries in Tibet, the intellectual heart of Bengal was out of reach of the invaders. The corridors used to transport these ideas remained open, eventually becoming vital trade routes for silk, gold, and tea that linked the two regions well into the 19th century. The Himalayas had functioned as a cultural safe deposit box, preserving ancient Bengal's greatest intellectual achievements long after the original source was erased from the map. Ancient Bengal lost its physical monuments, but its ideas survived. They are present today in every ritual and prayer flag found across the roof of the world. The monastic practices of modern Tibet are a direct continuation of the ancient curriculum developed at Vikramshila over 1,000 years ago. The Potala Palace in Lhasa stands as the ultimate architectural monument to this preserved legacy. The survival of Tibetan Buddhism is the living legacy of the lost universities of ancient Bengal. To explore more of the hidden history behind the world's great cultures, like, share, and subscribe to Akhara Study.